Hey guys, welcome to week 263 of the Super Mario World RomHack Races. Today's level is called Power Lift, and it's a collab by a half-dozen different creators, most of which have built levels for the races and collaborated with each other before. We've got Abdu, Twicepipes, Deported, Blaagon, GUI, and Mason. This level was rated very highly for difficulty, with an 8 for execution and a 9 for complexity. It was hard enough to figure out that at the 1 hour mark of playing, we were provided a clear video to help with figuring it out, which is extremely unusual for the races. Let's go ahead and get started. Press something. Not necessarily buttons. Power lift. I'm a really big fan of how the message box is placed in this room, since you can't get to it until you've already used what it says. You can carry any power-up, including 1-ups. Including 1-ups, that sounds important. And since that's a small door, I have to be small Mario to go through the door. Dang, I'm gonna have to hurry. There's something of an unwritten rule about Kaizo that I try to follow that goes something like, if it's possible to keep something, you need to keep it. So since I've been given both the throw block and the mushroom, I'm expecting to use both of them to get through this part. I would say that the throw block was the easier object to get through here, but it's also the less versatile one. Something here that's a little subtle that I really enjoy are those 2 cement blocks. They act as an indicator saying that I should be throwing the mushroom into them. And I need to be up throwing this mushroom to hit the turn block above me, but it's tricky because I can't throw it up while it's inside the wall. It'll just get stuck. That's what I want. Oh no! It was really easy to get stuck up there. Now, something strange was happening to me where I could not pick up that feather. The intended way to beat the level did involve grabbing that feather and throwing it. I just couldn't get it in my hands. So I sort of had to figure out my own way to beat the level. Now, those 3 mushrooms there, they were the same ones that fired to the left at me when I was throwing the mushroom upwards into the turn block towards the beginning of the level. I was able to respawn them just by going back to the left, and I'm going to try to use that to get up in the pipe. And suddenly there's a feather at the beginning. What the fuck? Hold on here. That happened to me 3 or 4 times as I was playing a section, and I never did figure out what was happening or why. We had to sacrifice the cape to do it, but we got the pipe. What the fuck? What? At this point, using the bullets to get through was my only idea, but the way that room is set up, you need to have a cape and you need to be flying as soon as you come out of that pipe. I need a star? Now I had an idea hatch here because of the gray platforms. They are very aggressive at respawning once they leave the screen. If you're very careful about how you move, you can actually respawn those gray platforms with them still being visible on screen. If you enter a pipe or a door, shortly after taking off from the ground, you can actually keep your flight state into the next room. And at that point, it's pretty simple to fly straight ahead and gain height. So we actually got to see some video about what the intended strategy for beating this section was. And you're supposed to be grabbing the feather and throwing it at the yellow Koopa. He gets scared of the feather, he jumps, and he turns the yellow shell into a disco shell. That disco shell is supposed to hit the item box, and then you just have enough time for it to turn into a star as you're waiting on the platforms. One other thing that I need to mention is that every time I grab a power-up, I need to be letting go of the run button, which is a pretty significant change in my normal muscle memory. In order to gain height, you need to have at least some speed moving forwards, and you come out of the pipe with none, so you do have to press forward here to speed up. So as soon as I come into this room, I'm automatically given a star, and it's pretty straightforward what I need to do with it, because I'm gonna have to use Yoshi to make this jump. What's a little less clear is what I have to do after the Yoshi. That sound on that Yoshi. What the hell am I doing? So the coin that we see over on the right is marking a hidden mushroom. That mushroom will try to jump in front of you as you touch the tile that it starts on. So we've sacrificed both Yoshi and the cape to get up here, and I really just don't see anything that I can do. But I realize, looking at this part again, that I can use this blue Yoshi to eat both of these rocks. That way I only have to sacrifice the Yoshi, and I can keep the cape. Which I immediately did nothing with. We're going to try this again. This time I'll get a higher jump off of this, feed the baby Yoshi with the mushroom, and hit the magic with the cape. And a Yoshi comes out of this block, so I'm going to go up and grab it.
Why? Why?
The joke there is that it's not actually a Yoshi, it's just a 1-up. Now I was told earlier that I can pick up 1-ups, so I'm figuring this is my time.
That's so cool!
Alright, well... So I missed out on that third jump to actually hit the mushroom up into the air. But I can tell what I'm supposed to be doing is hitting that mushroom up, grabbing it, throwing it up, landing on Yoshi, dismounting, and then feeding a baby Yoshi with the mushroom. So as I'm coming through this part now, I've got a really solid plan for what I'm about to do. Now, something you should know about Super Mario World is that if you leave a rope by a method that the game doesn't expect, you get stuck on a rope and you can just climb throughout the entire level freely. This is something that's normally patched out of RomHack Races.
What?
Also, you can't grab a rope if you've got a Yoshi in your hand. One of the only things that can break this is grabbing another rope.
What did I do? I have no idea, Star-Lord. I'm taking it, though.
So I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to have here, so I'm expecting to get punished when I go through the pipe.
No! No! Was that a checkpoint? No way!
I've just gotten away with cheesing 2 sections in a row. One of them with rope glitch, which is not supposed to be able to happen. So we're about an hour in now, and racers have actually been presented with a video for how to beat the level. This is something that the RomHack Races started doing with some of the more difficult levels, and I used the video myself.
This is where you don't look a glitch horse in the mouth.
So we can see here that we've got the 3 turn blocks that I'm going to have to spin through. I also need to be Big Mario to make those happen. And there's a brown block over on the right side that is a coin while the P-switch is still active. Getting through here with the P-switch active is the biggest challenge of this section.
Bro!
I wasn't even close. So this is something that we missed out on from the first section, grabbing a feather and then throwing it. It's able to go through walls and ceilings. And the other part of this ending that I didn't mention is that after I break that final turn block, I also need to take damage from that muncher so that I'm smol Mario and can go through the small door. So I have to pick up this fire flower. If I were to just collect it right away, I would be too big to fit through the gap under the munchers. It's a pretty narrow window to put the fire flower down and then be ready to grab it to hit the shell.
No, don't soft lock me.
I think I could just start select out if I did get soft locked.
Boy!
I would much rather not find out.
What am I even thinking about doing here?
So the baby Yoshi on the ground there, he's basically just an obstacle who's trying to take the mushroom out of my hand. I had to break the blocks under the fire flower so that he would eat the fire flower, leaving me the mushroom to hit blocks and feed the next Yoshi with. Now I've actually made the assumption here that I'm supposed to be collecting that mushroom and using it right away to damage boost. But it turns out if I just land up top there, I lose my spin, and I actually would have had enough iframes to keep going even without collecting another power-up. Did you know with the right setup and timing you can grab 2 items at once?
What the?
So I would say that this room and the one before it are probably the least demanding sections of the level. I guess you don't really get a very good look at it, but that Yoshi that we fed the mushroom to, he was actually an Invis Yoshi, and we dismounted him just a little bit higher than where we actually were on screen. And we used that trick twice there. Now we have a mushroom that's stuck in place. It's going to need to be dislodged by hitting the block underneath it. This move where we take the mushroom and throw it up at the block to bounce that shell loose feels a little bit like a normal shell trick. I am going to have to hit both of those blocks with the shell to dislodge both the feather and the saw. And then after I bounce off the spring, I need to collect the feather and then get the fire flower in my hand. Here I was spinning with the fire flower in my hand. I need to prevent Baby Yoshi from eating the flower so that I can collect the flower later. This was really close to the correct move, but I needed to let go of the run button to actually collect the flower. Same story here, except with the feather. And I'm actually using this opportunity to see what lies ahead now. The rebroadcast that happens on the RomHack Races Twitch channel ends at 2 hours, so I switched back over to my normal scene here. It was really the challenge of the entire level, but needing to overcome my muscle memory of holding down the run button to be able to collect power-ups was really challenging in this room. Once I actually collect this cape and have flight, it's pretty simple. In the door! Now, the beginning of this room is actually pretty difficult, and I didn't really feel like it got any easier the more I played it. Baby Yoshi is eventually going to have to eat that feather, but I can't do it right away because I need to get him through that gap first. The really hard thing for me was throwing him and getting him to hit the turn block. He kept running into the slope and just stopping. So once we throw that feather, it just kind of hangs out for us to use. We throw Yoshi way up in the air so that he's going to come down and give us something to land on after we bounce off the other Koopas. And I'm going to need to juggle all 3 of these power-ups to beat the next section. So the first thing to deal with is just getting all these power-ups where I can do something with them without collecting any. Right here is basically exactly what I want to do with everything except for the feather. The mushroom goes up top, and I'm going to use that later to damage boost across the munchers. The fire flower hits the block, which turns the coin solid for the mushroom, and it also gets fed to Baby Yoshi. He grows up so we can use him later. And basically all I'm doing with the feather is keeping it out of the way and getting it to a spot where eventually I can pick it up and hold it in my hand for later. Once we do collect the mushroom and start damage boosting, we really don't have a whole lot of time. What I need to do is grab that feather in my hand, gain P speed, and then get over to the right. I'm putting in just one more clip here so we can actually see what's coming up next. I need flight on the other side of this wall. There's not really any way I can get flight from where I'm at right now. I'd say this last section was the most difficult section of the level for me. It just had a lot of item juggling, and it was fairly precise what you needed to do with them too. I could not tell you how many times I picked up that mushroom instead of collecting it. Thankfully, the mechanics for how flight works are pretty generous about giving you flight. So even though it's been a little bit of a while since I jumped off the ground and I've let go of the run button, I still get flight when I grab the cape. That was not a hard bit of flight that I had to do, but it was very stressful. My time for this race was 3 hours, 9 minutes, and 49 seconds. That put me in 3rd place out of 8 racers who finished. GG. Man, what a level. So yeah, that was a really long and difficult level. I think that making the video available to us was the right call. That's one that would have taken me a very, very long time to figure out if I didn't have something helping me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to keep putting out these videos showing my part of every week's RomHack race. Please subscribe if you'd like to see more here on YouTube. You can also find me on Twitch and TikTok. My links are down in the description.
It's over!